Yesterday marked the end of the mourning period for Catholics, and this paved the way for the Conclave, which is set to begin on Wednesday. This is where the College of Cardinals will then elect Pope Francis's successor. Francis was at the helm of the church, of course, from 2013 until his death on Easter Monday. Linda Mnisi is live for us from the Vatican City in Rome now. Linda, Conclave begins and a new successor could be announced within days.
Yes, absolutely, especially because the mourning period has finally been concluded. But it happened at the time when there were a number of pre-conclave engagements that cardinals were engaged in. But also, you would have seen on Friday what seemed to be a sign that we're much closer to the conclave, the erection of the chimney from the Sistine Chapel, which you can see from where I'm standing. I'll just give you a glimpse, Arabile. My colleague Max Lotolo will show you there that particular chimney being erected on Friday, with signal that preparations are well underway. The Vatican has also been sharing visuals of inside that particular chapel where, tables were being set up for the voting process that will get underway from Wednesday. That's when cardinals will be making that important decision that will basically chart a way forward for the church as it begins a new era. But also, cardinals have been engaging in meetings, but also trying to get to know each other well, because a large number of those electors were elected by Pope Francis, but he was quite intentional in that he did not really host a lot of meetings where many of them would actually get to meet and engage with each other. So they're going into that particular conclave with very little information about each other, which makes it all more difficult, right, to choose Pope Francis's successor. So those pre-conclave engagements are continuing. But I'm joined now by my guest, who is all the way from Lesotho, but is a student here, in Rome, Father Thato Machesetsa. Father Thato, thank you so much for your time and for waking up so early to speak to us. This will be your first time. I mean, you're all the way from Lesotho, and this will be your first time experiencing the conclave. Talk to me about, the build-up and what your observations have been in the build-up towards the conclave.
Yeah, actually, after the death of the Pope, we have seen that everything what took place, and now the cardinals, they are having general congregations trying to know each other, and they are discussing important topics in the church. And in a few days, there is going to be a conclave. So for me, it is a blessing to experience this historical moment in the church.
Yeah, you speak about these pre-conclave engagements, these congregations where a number of discussions are held, and some of those include the qualities of a pope, right? But what do you think internally is the discussion about the kind of pope that needs to succeed or be the successor of Pope Francis? A lot of them were elected by Pope Francis, so there's a great expectation that these cardinals would not want to elect somebody that will undo the work of Pope Francis. What are your thoughts?
Actually, I would say that all depends on the Holy Spirit. As we have had the request of the College of Cardinals saying that the faithful should pray for them, because the understanding is that the office of the Pope, he is the successor of Peter, the vicar of Christ on earth. Therefore, we have to be in prayer, ask the Holy Spirit to help the cardinal to listen to the Holy Spirit and know who is the man who can come. Because we can have many expectations, but at the end of the day, we need a leader, a pastor, a universal pastor, like Pope Francis, Benedict XVI, all the Pope that came before. So all depends on the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, As these conversations continue, you speak about the Holy Spirit, taking charge. And we saw, in fact, that the leaders of Lesotho were here. The King of Lesotho, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Lesotho, were all here for the funeral of the Pope. Talk to us about what a leader of the Catholic Church, a Pope, means for your country.
Yeah, because the Pope is a spiritual leader. At the same time, he is the head of the Vatican, which means he is also engaging in the issues of the world. Like Pope Francis and other popes, they spoke about peace and all the things that that affects the people of God. Therefore, we are praying that God may give the leader that will also be helping the world, because now we see that there is no peace in the world. So we need a leader that will have that moral authority in the church.
Yes. And let's take a few steps back before I let you go and talk about the funeral of Pope Francis. You're here as a student, and a couple of students that I've engaged with from the African continent spoke about how the funeral mass of the Pope really touched essentially on some of the things that they're studying, be it, the word or the liturgy, really that we saw unfold during the funeral of the Pope. But for you and what you studied, what were your observations, and how did that kind of put things into perspective in terms of your studies?
Actually, I would say that the number of the people who were here, that itself speaks volumes, because it showed that we have lost the leader who was close to the people, who have compassion for the people. And also seeing the worldly leaders who were here, they understood that Pope Francis was also interested in the affairs for the well-being of the people. So therefore, that funeral itself, it was an emotional moment for me also. I saw that what we have studied, we saw putting into practice. Yes, so I think it was a great moment in the history. We were sad, but at the same time, we are praying and we are hoping that the Holy Spirit will give the church a new Pope.
Father Thato, thank you so much for your time.
You are welcome.
All right, that is Father Thato Arabile, who is a student here in Rome, talking to us about really the expectations on the ground in terms of what people, are talking about, but also what they're looking forward to in terms of what will happen next, being the conclave, the qualities of a leader, somebody who will be able really to respond to the challenges of the world like Pope Francis did. But you may have heard me mention earlier on that a number of the cardinals that will be making that all-important decision are cardinals really that many of which have been appointed by Pope Francis. Take, for example, Cardinal Brislin. He's from South Africa and was appointed by Pope Francis back in 2023. So many of them really, the expectation on the ground and the analysis we've been hearing on the ground is that many of them will essentially want to continue the work that Pope Francis has done and not really move away from his work or his teachings. But of course, that is just a prediction. There are those who were fierce critiques of some of the things that he stood for. So come Wednesday, the Sistine Chapel, which is a significant venue that hosted the first conclave back in 1484, will once again have cardinals sitting and deciding the future of the church. Arabile?
Linda Mnisi, live for us then out of Rome, Italy, then as the